Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
I think the whole Manafort trial is very sad. When you look at what's going on there, I think it's a very sad day for our country. He happens to be a very good person.
I feel very badly for Paul Manafort.
One of the reasons I respect Paul Manafort so much is he went through that trial.
Donald Trump praising his former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, who was convicted of tax and bank fraud in connection with Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian interference into the 2016 election. Now it appears the twice impeached, disgraced ex-president is ready to welcome Manafort back to his campaign. Washington Post reporting that, quote, the job discussions have largely centered around the 2024 Republican convention in Milwaukee in July, and could include Manafort playing a role in fundraising for the presumptive GOP nominee's campaign. According to these people, who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe private deliberations, while no formal decision has been made, the four people described the hiring as expected and said Trump was determined to bring Manafort back into the fold. The Mueller report found that Manafort was severely compromised by its contacts with Russian assets. Washington Post adding this, quote, Mueller found that Manafort shared internal Trump campaign polling data with longtime associate who the FBI assessed had ties to Russian intelligence. A bipartisan Senate committee that investigated Russian interference in the 2016 election concluded that Manafort's receptivity to Russian outreach was a grave counterintelligence threat that had made the 2016 campaign susceptible to malign Russian influence. Trump later pardoned Manafort in 2020, shortly before the end of his term. Joining us.
It's Jeff. Well, quite a day here for Donald Trump here. Right? I shouldn't say a day. I mean, it's been quite an ordeal so far here, being Donald Trump. But it's an ordeal that what do they say? The chicken's coming home to roost. This has been something that's been waiting for a long time to happen. And now that it is, people are really kind of shocked. I mean, it's amazing what you're hearing from the media today. You got shock, and then you got denial. Denial coming from people on the right who think, this whole thing is just a big, witch hunt, and, it's the same old garbage, right? Then you got people on the left who are shocked that, hey, Trump ain't as rich as we thought he was. He can't even pay his damn $450 some odd $1 million goddamn judgment on him, and time's running out, and they're threatening to take assets, which a lot of people, I guess from what I understand, nobody really wants his assets because there's taxes involved in that, plus there's mortgages involved in that. And at the end of the day, once they actually get their hands on the assets, the value of those things won't be nearly as much or nearly enough to cover the $400 billion for that matter, that he owes in taxes to the state of New York. And the thing is that it's just it's making people wonder, what's he going to pull next? How is he going to get this money when 30 insurance agencies that are out there wouldn't even underwrite his bond, basically, to pay, to front the money for him? Okay, nobody wants to do that. Not even Elon Musk, who was apparently asked and said no. Trump's credibility with people out there of his ilk is really sunk. It's amazing how they'll turn on each other, but when they smell that these people are around because they want your money, they'll cut and run on you quicker than anything. Okay. So everybody in Trump's income bracket, if you will, smells blood in the water coming from Trump, and they know if he's coming around poking his nose into your business that he wants something. And they know what he wants, and they're not going to give it to him. They don't like him. I don't think a lot of people do that are wealthy. I think a lot of people, have been stung by him in the past and don't want anything more to do with him. He's made a lot of enemies. I mean, look, think about it. I mean, a guy that's gone bankrupt 6 times in his career or more, he creates a lot of devastation in his wake. And now when he needs help, they're not going to be there for him. So there's concern that he might try to get this money or, help from people who he knew in the past, like Paul Manafort, who might try and get money through Saudi Arabia, Russia, some country that's not favorable to the United States, to launder money through them for him to get, right? Which people are saying that's going to put our country national security at risk. I mean, why would you want to put a president in the White House who's got ties to our enemy nations that now he owes? Because they're going to give him money to front his bond. Now he's indebted to them. And do you want a president who's already compromised on day one to not just, legal matters, but international matters now? I mean, he's going to be the most useless president we've ever had. In fact, we won't even have a president. Our country is going to be controlled by another country through him, through Donald Trump. So there's this little bit here I want to show you here. This is from MSNBC here, and that's Michael Cohen, okay? And he said that he predicts Trump will use money from foreign nations to pay his bills. Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former personal attorney, joins Michael Steele in for Nicole Wallace on Deadline White House with reaction that Donald Trump doesn't have the funds he claims he had while he was trying to get elected president, and how he may need to elicit foreign funding to pay his bills and legal judgments against him.
What if millions of black Americans had been compensated for slavery? Join me, Tremaine Lee, as we explore a reparation story you've never heard. Into America presents Uncounted Millions, The Power of Reparations. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay.
I want to jump right into this claim that it's a practical impossibility to find someone to underwrite a bond that big. What does that tell you about how wealthy Donald Trump is or is not?
Well, look, we are talking about a $500 million bond. He's in the real estate industry. Much of his assets are leveraged. Real estate is not what, as some of your other guests have already pointed out, it's not where they want to go. They don't want to go with that because, let's not forget, if he sells the assets, there's also a tax consequence that will be due. He has long-term capital gains. And because it's New York, you also have city and state tax. So you're looking at effectively a 40% taxable rate. Not only does he have that, he also has, on top of that, mortgages attached. So taxes, state taxes and federal taxes come first, then followed by the mortgage. Then whatever's left over would ultimately go to pay off the judgment or to repay the bond. That's why nobody wants it. And he's right. It's effectively impossible. Now, what does it turn around and tell you? It tells you that he's not nearly as rich as he sold himself to the American people. That he, even at the trial, at the New York Attorney General trial, he told Judge Engoron that he was worth and had at least $400 million in cash. Well, if that's true, post the $400 million and get the balance. And if it's not true, well, who knows? Maybe it could be a perjury charge.
So let's pick up on that point, because one of the things that Trump's lawyers said today in the filing is that they went to nearly 30 surety bond providers, and every one of them was unwilling, to your point, to accept the real estate as collateral. So if that's the case, then where does he get $454 million plus and counting to pay for this? That liquidation process seems like it's going to take forever. I mean, you just can't sell a building in 24 hours, pay all the taxes and things like that. So he's still up against a wall, right?
Well, absolutely. And you have bigger problems than that. As Americans, we should be very concerned about where that money is coming from. First and foremost, if it's coming from a company like Chubb or Federated, yes, we know that company, it's an American company, and so on. But what if hypothetically the money is coming from Saudi Arabia, from Qatar? What if by chance it's coming through a backdoor channel of Russia? That now leaves a potential presidential candidate. Hear me on this, Mike. It leaves a presidential candidate basically owing a foreign entity, all at the expense of America's national security. This is no joke. This places our national security in jeopardy and continues to make Donald Trump the single most dangerous the most dangerous thing in America to our national security and democracy.
So on that point then, because you know the man as you do, you know how he operates, this real estate portfolio is just one of a lot of big pieces for him that are now subject to garnishment, if you will. What does this mean? What do you think is going through his mind right now, to your very point, that could potentially make him dangerous? Is he going to be out there looking at how he can backdoor some cash or a relationship, using a relationship period, which is why the documents case was so gnarly and important? What was happening with some of those documents and things like that? What does that landscape now for him look like, and how do you think his mind is processing all of this?
He doesn't care where the money comes from as long as he gets it. I mean, even if that places our national security in risk. He's already shown documents to individuals over at Mar-a-Lago who did not have clearance to view them. I will tell you that making Trump president was the absolute worst idea that I ever had, bar none. Right now, our national security is potentially at risk, not just because of the documents that we know that he had, but more importantly, because of the positioning that he is in right now as one of the leaders of one of our two political parties in this country.
You raise a number of interesting points with respect to how the national security piece fits into this, how the domestic piece fits in this, the cost in these cases. You're going to be also possibly speaking before Congress on this matter. How are you assessing that, and what that potentially may mean to either help Donald Trump using that time on the Hill in a way against those who are against Tish James and those who are coming after him in this New York case? How are you assessing your role in some of this?
Well, look, I didn't ask to be a part of this. I was subpoenaed by 7 different congressional committees. I have provided the testimony. The testimony then led to more testimony. I didn't testify before the New York Attorney General because I wanted to. I was subpoenaed for that. I will also be testifying now at the New York District, at the Manhattan District Attorney with the Alvin Bragg hush money case because I am subpoenaed. If I'm subpoenaed, I will do what I need to do. I will continue to provide the truthful information, and if that ultimately holds Donald Trump accountable for his dirty deeds, so be it.
All right, so to that point, 1 week from today should have been the start of the Manhattan DA case, Alvin Bragg's case against Trump. That case, too, has also now been postponed by probably a month, hopefully not more, but we'll see. We know you can't speak about that case since you're expected to take the stand, as you noted. But are you confident that, like Tish James and the civil fraud case, that Donald Trump will be held accountable in that case as well?
Well, let me say that in 2018, when I sat before the House Oversight Committee with the late, great Congressman Elijah Cummings, God rest his soul, all I can say is I said that Donald Trump is a cheat, he's a con man and a fraud, and that he will ultimately be held accountable for his actions. I do believe that Donald Trump so far has been held accountable for all of these matters that have now made it their way to a judge and to a courtroom, and I believe that the same thing will take place with the Manhattan District Attorney's case. All of these cases are predicated on documentary evidence, not on individuals. So it makes no difference that their intent is to try to denigrate me and to attack my credibility. The one thing that they cannot attack are the documents and the documentary evidence that will be presented.
Okay, so that's that in a nutshell. I mean, I guess that's kind of what's going on right now. Is that everybody's kind of looking at Trump and wondering, hey, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna reach out to other countries? I mean, you notice that Paul Manafort is back in the news. And the issue with it is he's in discussion to help Trump's re-election effort. Now, funny how he's all of a sudden his name is brought back into this thing when Trump owes so much fucking money, because he's used Paul Manafort in the past in some shady dealings, and now he's been asked again. I mean, remember Trump pardoned him as president. And now he's calling in that marker, I think, saying, look, I pardoned you when I was president. Now it's time for you to pay back, and I need you to get some money from me from Putin or Saudi Arabia, whoever he's going to go after to get money. Okay. And let's see this. Let me read this here. This is from yesterday. Former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort is in discussions to help with re-election effort, and it's from CNN. Former President Donald Trump's team is in discussion with Paul Manafort, his 2016 campaign chairman, whom he later pardoned, to potentially help with the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, three sources familiar with the ongoing conversations told CNN. Manafort, who was one of several individuals who ran Trump's 2016 presidential campaign, was pardoned by Trump after being found guilty of several financial crimes in 2018. One source indicated that Manafort would be helping with fundraising around the July convention, but noted that no financial decisions had been made. Trump has told allies he wanted to bring Manafort back into the fold, but it was unclear in what capacity. The Washington Post first reported Manafort's potential involvement with Trump's 2024 election effort. Manafort spent close to 2 years of a 7.5-year sentence in prison for bank and tax fraud, illegal foreign lobbying, and witness tampering conspiracies before being released in 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic, spending the remainder of his sentence under home confinement prior to his being pardoned. The former Trump campaign staffer was found to have committed financial fraud in 2019. Those convictions were obtained by special counsel Robert Mueller as he investigated Manafort's alleged collusion with the Russian government in 2016. Though Manafort's crimes did not relate directly to his work as Trump's 2016 campaign chairman. As part of his plea deal with Mueller's team, he agreed to cooperate with the prosecutors on the then special counsel's team before lying during those interview sessions. Manafort, a Reagan-era political operator, was largely credited with securing Trump the Republican nomination in 2016. his deep ties in the Republican establishment and tireless organizing to win the GOP delegate fight helped propel Trump over his primary rivals at the time. But he was pushed aside months before the general election in favor of other Trump loyalists, and amid reports of his financial connections to pro-Russia Ukrainian politicians, even after resigning as chairman of Trump's campaign, he was still involved with the former president's transition to the White House, CNN reported at this time. So you see, Paul Manafort, foreign lobbying, okay, he's the guy that Trump would want to go to get money from outside the United States, since the United States is basically shutting all their doors to him and trying to, in his effort to try to get some money to pay that bond. Okay, so like I said, this is setting him up to be even a worse candidate to be sitting in the White House as president. Okay, on top of everything else we know about this scumbag. Okay, now he's in position, he's poised to be in the position of getting money from a foreign country that we are currently at odds with right now. We could be at war with in very short time, practically overnight, if things go bad or worse or whatever. And do we want a president who feels like he owes such a government a favor? Because, hey, you guys gave me some money to bail my ass out of this, out of this tax problem. So now, the bills come due, and Putin wants you to do something for him. And what do you think that's going to be? What do you think that's going to be or mean for us as an American nation to NATO? When, and of course, NATO will investigate that. Okay, trust me, they're as on top of this fucking matter here as the rest of this country is. They're very interested in seeing what's going to happen, how this will play out, and believe me, they will know if Trump gets in there, this country can't be trusted at that point, because Trump's got his claws in the government, and if he's elected president, we are going to be on a very big international spotlight. Okay, for crimes and things like that if he becomes president, because he's already made boasts, about helping out Putin in not so many words, but basically saying, well, he'll just look the other way, which is about the same as saying I'm going to help him. Okay, so this is what what our country's looking at. Okay, I mean, he's even further removed from the United States now than ever before, because his hatred against this country has got to be insurmountable now, because now Uncle Sam is coming after him for his crimes. All right? What, 88, 91 fucking felony charges? I mean, these aren't just misdemeanor charges that he's got to deal with. They're felonies. This is the big leagues here. He's in trouble big time. And this is the fucking guy the Republican Party, or whatever was left of it, wants to put up into the White House? Are you insane? I can't imagine any time in history where this country would have accepted that until now. Okay, until now. For decades before that, people never would have allowed a man of his caliber to even get this close to being president. Okay, I mean, what was it? Who's that guy that Klansman there, David Duke or something? I mean, he never even got close to winning because everybody knew he was a scumbag. Okay. But now, I say, maybe that guy will try to run now, because it seems to me like this is the best time for a guy like him to try to run, a Klansman. It doesn't matter now, okay, how nasty you are, how racist you are, how demonic you are. It don't fucking matter now, okay? The kind of people that the right wing is looking to run is anybody that can talk and walk, and chew gum at the same time. That doesn't matter to them. They will want you, or anybody, and it says a lot about where that group of people is now. I mean, they're lost. They are a lost breed. They can't even really consider themselves American. I mean, if you're a member of that party and you haven't left already, there's something wrong with you. Honestly, I mean, people really ought to look at you with questionable eyes, maybe you need some mental health or something. You're something wrong with you. Okay? it'd be no different than, say, the same group of people wanting to see somebody who isn't even an American citizen in an enemy country wanting to run for president in this country. Okay, and believe me, that day will come if we don't smarten the hell up in this country and start bringing the hammer down on these nuts here that keep popping up in our government here. Okay, we're going to have to enforce our standards here as it's laid out in the Constitution as to who can and can't be a president. We stopped doing that for some reason, and I hate to think that it's both sides that are complicit here, but how can you have just one political party not holding the bar, okay, and the other side holding the bar, but yet we're still getting rotten apples in the bunch? Where's the problem? I mean, it's either we all work together as Americans, or we fall apart separately, because as it is right now, the minority and the majority are almost in equal power right now in our country, and that wasn't the way that was supposed to happen. Okay, when a majority group is in there, then the majority group gets their way. All right, provided there's some deals aren't made, but you cannot have a minority party calling the shots to this degree to get a man like Donald Trump sitting in there as president. Okay, you can't have that. I don't give a shit how the election turns out. If he wins that thing, the election has been rigged. Okay, there's no fucking way that somebody like him could possibly win in the presidency. Okay, I'm sorry. He can scream and holler, cheat and all he wants, but I have to believe that there's more people in America that's got a common, sense of what qualifies as a fit person to lead a nation. Okay, I have to believe that, because how could we have gotten this far if we didn't? How could we have gone so far? I mean, yeah, we've had our strifes and stuff with leaders in the past, but but never like this. Never to this degree. This is beyond the pale. I mean, when they say it's this is historic, yeah, it is historic and infamous, and in a lot of ways, it's not a proud moment in our country that we are where we are standing right now. Okay, and that's why this election, above all elections that I've ever had to go through in the past, is probably the most important and most historic, because we're being tested, as to what kind of people we are. Okay, do we really believe that we are a shining city on the hill, or are we just willing to just blow the ground out from under it and say, screw it, we don't want that anymore? I mean, what kind of an America are we now? And I think that's what we're being asked here in this election here. That's why we're having to redo this all over again. Okay, is that you've got the bad choice on one hand, the better choice on the other hand. Okay, and do you want a democracy, or do you want to go the route of dictatorship? What's the thing? I mean, I know there's been a lot of people that have been unhappy living in this country, but are you so unhappy that you're willing to tear down the whole institution just to fix a few problems that could have been fixed with a little legwork and a little commitment from you in the past that you never gave? That those problems may not be there if you'd have been just a little more active in your politics than you were, because I think a lot of this can be attributed to people not doing much when it came time to standing up and doing what's right. Not voting, saying, this, I don't like this, I'm not going to vote, I don't like this guy. Shrugging off your duty as a citizen, to get involved. And I think that this is what happens when you don't get involved enough. I think people slip through the cracks. Bad people get in there knowing that you're not going to do anything. Okay? That's how they get in there. That's how these people, you wonder, how the hell did they get elected? They got elected because a lot of you didn't vote. A lot of you people knew they were bad apples or weren't paying attention to the things they were saying. Okay? And they slipped through the screen, and the media is going to put it in your face that hey, you guys fucked up. Look what these people are doing. And before you know it, you're the butt of everybody's joke. Okay? So don't think that your inaction doesn't get noticed. It does. Your inaction does get noticed, and believe me, it gets written into the history books as well. So right now, I think we ought to be concerned about this issue here with where the courts are forcing Trump to ante up here his goddamn money, and now he's reaching out to some old friends to do some illegal shit and troubling shit to get that money, to get the justice system off his back. So think about that. I'll talk to you guys later, so take care and treat each other nice. Bye-bye.